All
Record.
right.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. So excited to get Van Go For It started here in February. Thank you all for joining us and continuing to support an original Tina, one of our favorite and featured artists for Rooted Health Hub. All right, Tina, what do you have in store for us today?
Well, per popular request, we are going to palette knife it out today. We're going to be a little different, go a little outside the box and use some palette knifing. Now I don't have anything particular for you guys to paint per se. We can just experiment with the paint and the palette knifing if you'd like. I will go ahead and try to make something that looks like a lemon. I figured, still life is a good starting point to practice with any sort of technique. So with palette knifing, I'm gonna start with a lemon, like just a still life of a lemon. And so to begin, you obviously have to have palette or painting knives. If it's a palette knife that people refer to as a palette knife, or if it's listed as a palette knife, that just means that 9 times out of 10 they use it to mix paint. And one of the most important steps when it comes to making a planned painting and is mixing your paint, especially if you're using oil paint. So I remember in class we used to take a lot of time just mixing paint, and it's because it is time consuming. And so using a palette knife, you can use it to mix your paint. One of the easiest palette knives to use for that would be a rounded end palette knife, which looks like this. If you get one that's like a diamond shape and has a pointier end, it gives you a little bit more control. They're a little bit more flexible. This one's pretty flexible for what it is. I like to use this one because it spreads when you're blending, it spreads the paint across the surface a little bit more. And you can see here, and I'm showing the difference. I've used this palette knife blending this paint here, and I've used this diamond palette knife blending the paint over here. So you can see kind of how when you blend it, it spreads it a little bit more. With the bigger knives, obviously you're going to cover more surface area as opposed to a smaller palette knife. And you can use that to kind of, like I said, have more control and be a little bit more exact about how much paint you want to put in your mixture. So palette knives, lesson 1, are used to mix your paint. They're easier to clean because you can just wipe off the paint. You don't have to clean them with your mineral spirits unless you get it caked on like mine are kind of caked on. So like I was doing when we started, I was scraping off the paint on the old ones, and that's literally how you would get any paint off your palette knife. It's just you have to take the time to scrape it because you let it dry. So don't be lazy like I was. Um, so like I said, the bigger the palette knife, the more surface area you're going to cover. The smaller the palette knife, the more control you're going to have to practice with different techniques. And you can use palette knifing to add more texture to a painting to make it more viscous, more, you can use a lot of paint or very little paint. And you can see here, there's the shape of a lemon. And that's also one technique, is using your palette knife to make line. And of course, you're going to want to, if you're trying to be very specific with your line, you don't get a lot of paint on your palette knife. You just dip it in a little bit, make very thin lines, and you may not be able to see that. Let me get a darker color. Let's do this dark right here. So I've just slid that in the paint. You can see there's none on the top or the bottom. It's just on the edge. And what that allows you to do is just to make line. So that's
Cool.
one method with your palette knife. And you can use the edge of it, or you can build it up on the top or the bottom, whichever is more conducive to your handedness, whether it's left-handedness or right-handedness. And then you can also make your line end lay paint at the same time, kind of like that. I don't know if you can see that at all.
Yeah.
And then, in addition to line, what I also added here is referred to as scraping or sgraffito, I believe it is.
You're making up words.
Graffito. It's Italian, I think. SGRAFFITO.
Okay.
Yes. Scraping. We'll call it scraping. We'll make it easy. And what scraping does is if you're using the texture of the canvas as the background to add, this is going to add texture to the painting. You're using the texture of the canvas to add texture to the painting, meaning you're just scraping it across. Let me get some more paint on here. Like that. And so what you're doing is you're scraping, but you're also using the texture of the canvas to make texture in your painting. You're kind of just going like this. And you can hear it scraping. Graffito. But that's how Bob Ross would use it, I would say, to make like snow on mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Add white to that and then lightly go over top of it. And it catches based off of where the paint is hitting the canvas. And that's how you get your snow on your canvas, on your mountains.
Cool.
For this scraping technique with what I'm going with right now, I'm just going to get a lot of buildup of paint on the bottom of my palette knife. If you use the top of your palette knife, it's a little bit more difficult. If I put this paint on here like this, it's a little bit more difficult to wipe it and to be able to utilize all of it and to do it in the way that I want. So I will always use the bottom of my palette knife. And it's just so that I have more control over that. So let me get some more paint. And you can see how much I put on there. Just quite a bit. That's because when you use your palette knife, like I said, the purpose of that is to add texture. So we're adding texture. And I didn't mix all this paint in here that well because I like to see the paint mix on the canvas. I don't think it needs to be a solid color. I think I like it looking like it's, blending into itself on the canvas and letting it be what it is. So if you guys want to practice doing line and scraping with your palette knives, I welcome it. Like I said, there's no particular item or subject matter we're going to paint. You can just practice with color if you want. If you would like for me to paint something in particular, I'm happy to. This is just a lemon. If you want to go with a lemon, you can go with a lemon. One thing about painting still life is always knowing where your light's coming from. So for me, my light source is coming from this way. So I've got a darker shadow on this side. So let's see if I
So
can show you.
did you do pencil? Did you sketch out the lemon?
No, I just put the line of the
just the line, right? So yeah, so you just like can see it here.
And I just dipped it and I made a shape.
You're like, here's the shape of a lemon. I'm like, I have no idea what a lemon's shaped like. My brain just shut off. It's like an eyeball, right? It's like
a football.
like a
yellow
football eyeball. All right,
eyeball,
I'm
yeah.
going for
We
it.
can do
Okay.
eyeball.
I'm
Yeah.
going a lemon eyeball. Okay, I'm going for it.
Lemon eyeball. And like I said, you want to make sure that you maintain the same direction for your light source. So for me, it's going to be coming in like at an angle this way. And the reason for that is to have the different hues and values of your paint. So when you're mixing paint, you want to mix more than one shade of the color. And an example of that are all these yellows that I have here. And the purpose of that is so that I can lay the paint on thick like with this scraping and line method, if you will. So I'm gonna start laying paint. And if you need me to stop to explain like the amount that I'm using or like the purpose behind the direction that I'm laying the paint, just stop me. I'm happy to explain a little bit more. One really fun thing about palette knife painting is that you get to choose the thickness of the paint that you're putting on. And if you have multiple palette knives, it's always fun to experiment with the shapes that you're going to get from each one.
For the record, I just tried to do what you taught me about using the side of the palette knife and zero paint got on the canvas. I just want to throw that out there. So I'm going to put more paint on there.
Grab
But
a little bit
but there's
more.
tons on the bottom, but there was none on the side. So first attempt
That's
fail. I'm going back in. Going back in.
fine. Yeah, just dip your brush, or I'm sorry, your palette knife into the glob of paint, like the pile of it, kind of like this, and then run your line. And if you have more on the bottom, you can use that as well, and just kind of scrape it down like that. And that'll help you. And of course, the more interesting scrapes, lines, dabs, dabbing is another method that we'll get into. The more that you use of that, the more interesting it's going to be. And then if you use different palette knives, like this diamond shaped one, that's going to give it a different effect. Normally artists would use these different ones to make like flower petal shapes. Like that's really fun to experiment with. If you want to just try making like rounded shapes to figure out which palette knife would best make like the prettiest flower petal that you would like. So this, I feel
I'm
like this
doing
little
it.
tiny one. Hey, you got your lemon.
Hey, look at that.
I like it. So we're gonna keep adding different shades of yellow, and I used lemon yellow, ochre yellow, and this flesh tone yellow, as well as white and burnt umber to give me my values from light to dark. And then I'm just gathering and laying. The dab method that I mentioned is literally just putting your palette knife down to the thickness that you want and pressing down and pulling up, and it's just dabbing. And that's going to give it a very like popcorn ceiling-ish texture. For this lemon in particular, I kind of want it to be a little bit more blocky, which is a very technical term, by the way. Blocky. But I want it to have different sections. I want you to be able to see the different colors of yellow in here. Now it's not blended. Like I want these colors to show like I didn't work very hard to blend it. That's the effect I'm going for. Not the effect you have to go for. And if you see, if I do that, that puts my shadow at the bottom. But because my light source is over here, this side of my lemon is going to be darker. And you can blend your paint on the canvas. Like that. If you get too much, if it starts getting punctified, just wipe it on your towel and go back in with more. Now I'll go in with this other palette knife so you can see the use of it. It's got paint caked on it, but it's a kite shape. And let's see. Let's go in with our brighter color. And you can see the difference of the shapes that it makes. Unhinge this from here. You see the lighter, the way that this lays is you can press it down and it leaves that lip there.
Oh, you're right. It kind of does look like a petal or something, like a.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
enough paint on the tip of it, then you can put it down and use your palette knife to make flower petals. A lot of 3D artwork made with paint and palette knifing is like landscapes and flowers and ocean scenes. I think it would be really fun to do a complete portrait in this with this technique. I am not that good at it, I don't think yet. So it's something I continue to try to practice to do. And then I suck myself out. So, but for the most part, if you just keep going in with different palette knives, you're going to keep getting your different shapes. Just keep using your different techniques. It's going to keep making it interesting and adding the different strokes in there. Let's see.
Ooh, look at this, Tina.
Lemon. Lemon.
Okay.
I like. Yep.
I will say this is the first painting that I've done that didn't start off with what I felt like it was a mistake. I was just going to cover up for the rest of the class. That feels good. Like I feel a little bit more
Well, good.
never yet, but I will say it's nice to like not the first thing to be like, oh, that's a mistake. Okay.
Yeah, no. There's really the only mistake is not letting it be what it needs to be. And what I mean by that is just be free with it. Don't hold yourself to a certain standard. Don't overthink it. If you feel like it's getting too much away from what you want it to, then you can stop, take a break, step away, look at it from a distance, turn the painting if you have to. Even with a still life painting like this, it's really good to turn it so that you can continue to see where you need to add your lights and darks and where you need to fill in certain areas to give it the effect of, hey, there's light source coming from here. I need to add shadow. So continue to work on your lemon. Don't forget to add, like I said, the different values to give it more dimension. I'll go in with this, and the good thing about palette knife painting is being able to lay paint on top of paint and make it as thick as you want. So that dabbing method, I'm just going to go in, dab some dark yellow ochre over top of this, and then I'll use a different palette knife, this teeny tiny one, just because it's so cute, and I'll lightly glide over top of that, and it's just going to spread the paint on top of the paint. So this is another technique, is going in and with the paint being fresh and wet, just continuing to spread the love. And the purpose is to keep making it look like I'm blending it on the canvas, because I really like that. Not a lot of people do, but I think it leaves it more interesting and abstract, because from far away it looks like a lemon, but when you get up close you see every ridge, you see every streak, and to me that's part of what makes a painting really pretty. What do they call it? Oh, what's it called? Being a Monet, where up close it looks awful, but from far away it looks so beautiful. No, it's just from far away you kind of get a different perspective of it, and things kind of blend together. Whereas up close, you're gonna see every choppy little bit, and I dig that look, so I go with it. Now, this is a really fun palette knife to have if you have one that's not bent, and the reason is because you've got this angled end here, and then you've also got this big flat surface here, so you can cover a lot of surface space and make different shapes with it. Mine's bent. Mine's bent really bad. I guess I got really aggressive with it. I don't know. It's a good possibility. So in addition to the lemon, we're gonna go in and I'm gonna do some background colors, like let's see, cover more surface area. Maybe I'll use my really big palette knife. And I've got these different blues and greens on here. And it's just to give it background. Jared, are you doing all right?
I'm doing well. I think I need to get metal pallets, and I think I need to lay down um gesso first because I'm trying to do a gradient
Okay.
with to make like a sunset sky,
Okay.
and I'm very lightly pressing, but it is not dragging the gradient as I would like. So it's blending very nicely, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not giving me that effect of the gradient that I'm looking for. So
So do you
I
want it to
recommend.
be like the gradient to be more smoothly blended as opposed to like
Yeah,
harsh?
I would like some definition among the different colors, but yeah, a smooth transition from the white to the yellow to the orange to the red.
Yeah, you can lay your paint down in that respect and do a sweeping method if
Yeah,
you want. So if you wanted to put all the paint on there first and then go in with your palette knife and then do
yeah,
a sweeping method, that might be more conducive to the blending that you're talking about.
that's what I was going for. That's what I was trying. So I was taking the edge of the blunt one
Okay.
and to apply the paint in a splotch, and I just kind of made like a little traffic light of the different colors that I wanted, just all in a nice vertical row pushed up against each other. And then I took the broader knife that I had flat, the one that has a trowel on it, that way I
Uh-huh.
wasn't right up against the canvas, and I just kind of did I mean barely even touching the paint to scrape it across. And
Yeah.
then I kind of just started sweeping back and forth like a vertical windshield wiper to kind of try to blend it together, and it was like super tacky.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was not getting the smoothness that I was looking for. So I think gesso might be the way to go if I wanted to try to do that effect.
Are you using
Um,
acrylic, did you say?
yeah, I am using no, I'm using oil because I did
Oh,
want to have a smoother experience with it. I wanted it to be more fluid.
if you're
But
going for a more fluid experience with the palette knives, then having your gal kit definitely would have come into play there. Or
yes.
you can use your mineral spirits to also liquefy the paint a little bit more to help with that.
Ah, I did not think about the mineral spirits. That's so smart.
Yeah, just use a dab of that at a time. Add to it slowly so that it's going to thin the paint to the
Yeah.
consistency that you want. Um, and then you can use, like, I'll show you an example. I just dip my palette knife in the mineral spirits here, and
Ah,
I'll go in here and just run it, and you can see it's automatically sending that out so I can spread it.
brilliant.
Maybe that's what you need to work with, because um like, I don't want you to overthink going, like, having to go and get more supplies as opposed to
Right.
have. So just use your mineral spirits like I am here, because I
Okay.
don't have really enough of this color for this
Yeah.
entire canvas. So I can go through if I wanted to and just make this whole background experience a little lighter than what I planned
Uh-huh.
and use my mineral spirits. And all I'm doing, you guys, is dipping that palette knife in the mineral spirits to go over top the oil paint,
Mm,
and it's going to do exactly what it's meant to do, which is thin it out so I
very
can spread.
nice.
Yeah. You can even just, like, there you go. Kind of go like that.
The science of art.
Right. Yeah, having experience with the materials is definitely something that comes with time, but you're not at it alone, so that's good. Um,
Yes.
you guys definitely have a resource here. And if you don't have gal cans, I like to use it, and I have a big jug of it. Just use your mineral spirits.
Okay.
And then it's it's making it a little bit more interesting for me because I was planning on just blocking all this paint in there. And if the lemon is so heavy, if I've got a real heavy-handed lemon, it would
Yeah.
be cool for the background not to be as heavy, right?
Right.
So already it's changing my plan, but it's making it more interesting. So that is also a really good aspect of these classes is that it's not, I don't feel like that there's any right or wrong way. I feel like we can come out of it and get what we want out of it, even if it is different for each artist. So
Mhm.
you never know, right?
You never know.
Well, I will say that for some reason, I don't know the reason, but approaching the canvas with palette knives instead of a brush is, I don't know, like I am not as anxious about it for some reason. Like
Okay.
it's fun and I don't know, I just really like this. I mean, I'm going slowly, but I got something going on here, these colors. I don't know.
I like it. What we got? What everybody want to share yet? Anybody want to share?
Sharing. I'm sharing that.
Woohoo!
Ooh, I got
Well, I
some
think the flower petals going on there too.
something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, but I
Yeah.
like the colors you have too. So I think I'm gonna add some blue in here.
Yeah, these grays and like green grays and blue grays and stuff, these are fun to work with, and specifically whenever like you're trying to make darkers and lighters of them, different hues of them, different values, then it gets to be a little bit more fun because these aren't colors that you normally see like everywhere. And one thing I will stress about
Ooh, that's pretty.
palette knife is keep turning your painting because you're going to get different strokes, different shapes, different everything when you do that.
Mhm.
That to me, honestly, just makes a painting way more interesting than
Jared, I like that color you chose. It's pretty.
Which one?
That top color,
purple.
it's super pretty. Like the blend of the reds and the oranges and
Yes. I was trying to go for like a more distinct uh gradient there, but it's all right.
You can add more yellow and then white if you wanted to
Yeah.
towards wherever your light source is coming from, because I imagine that it's brighter at that point, which would be more centralized maybe in the painting if I'm looking at it right.
Okay.
But I do like what you're doing with dabbing on are those flower petals.
I guess. Sure.
If you wanted, so like if you wanted to dab them on and then press and spread,
Yeah.
you can do that and make petals out of it.
Okay. Yeah, I was definitely going for texture.
Yeah, and I mean, palette knife is definitely meant for that. One fun way to utilize the texture is to press the palette knife down.
Mhm.
And what I did here, I put 3 different colors, and then I just sort of sweep from left to right,
Yeah.
and it gives it sort of a ribbon effect. I mean, that looks kind of cool. I don't know what it is, but you can do that with petals because for petals, it's usually the same exact method, but
Yeah.
you do it differently, like sweeping one petal and then swiping one petal, sweep and
Yeah.
then swipe. Then it's gonna make different petals. It's gonna make, different textures on there, like sounds like you're trying to achieve. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, if you're wanting to blend it like that, then definitely use your mineral spirits.
Okay.
They're there for
I
it.
did a version of what you just talked about up top here on this. It's like canvas. Okay. Up top there. It's like a green,
Yes.
white, yellow, sweepy, swipey swirl.
Sweepy swappy swirl. I love it.
Sweepy, swipey swirl. I did it.
Mm.
I love the idea of using the mineral spirits, Tina.
Yeah,
It's wonderful.
versatile too. one other way that you can use those, honey, is
Yes.
if you put the mineral spirits on your canvas first,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
then go in with your palette knife. Where's
I
our palette
love
knife?
it.
There it is. And then go in with your palette knife full of color, full of the
Mhm.
paint, and then look how it spreads.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
That is awesome.
there's more than one way to I don't want to say kill a bird. Why am I wanting to say kill a bird?
You're wanting to say skin a cat and
Yeah,
Or there's more than one way to palate a lemon.
yeah.
oh,
That-
there's more than one way to palate a lemon. Better than kill a bird or skin a cat. But yeah, just get in there and use what you have. I don't want you to have to put off painting to go out and buy something else to, you know, achieve a look that you think you need to be achieving based off of one technique that we've learned. So there's more than one way to do it. You can put your paint on and go in with a brush and add your mineral spirits and then go back in with a palette knife and move it. I mean,
I'm digging the tiny palette knife is precious, and I'm digging that. But
yeah, the tiny palette knife is really fun to use. I like it. Like that portrait I started of Lucas. That is all palette knifed on there, but it's with this little tiny one, so it's super,
Aw.
super like time consuming
gotcha.
because I'm not very good at portraiture with palette knives yet. And the biggest thing for me is color blocking and seeing the lights and the darks as opposed to what it's supposed to be. So like instead of looking at this and saying, I'm trying to draw a lemon, I'm going to say, I'm trying to put light yellows here and dark yellows there. So it breaks it up in my mind so that I'm not attached to one image of something and I have to put that on the canvas. So it kind of frees up the anxiety of it, you know?
Yeah.
So if that helps, that's one way to look at it. One thing about painting and using a light source is always making sure that you understand how light does hit objects. So if it's going to hit here, it's going to reflect here. And your shadow is going to have just a little bit of yellow in it too. So, like, for the sake of sort of realistic accuracy, I'm going to put yellow here just so that it's known the light's reflecting here and it's going to cast that light, that yellow off the lemon onto the surface.
Yeah.
So it kind of keeps it realistic, but like I said, it's a Monet where from far away it looks like it's casting a shadow, and up close it's like, oh, she messed up and put the paint there. Do we have any questions yet?
I don't have any questions yet. I'm just enjoying like using the different knives and the different like ways to hold them and approach the canvas with it. Like it's just nice to have a chance to use them and try to get used to the tools, you know?
Yeah, experimenting with palette knives is really, really fun. I think one of the best parts of it is obviously the freedom that comes with it because you're not, like I said, specifically tied to, oh, this has to look like this. Because you can go in later and adjust. You can go in later and add more paint. You can just layer over top of what you got because you have so much more paint left. So it makes it fun, kind of keeps it lighthearted. I feel like if you're going to be painting like this, you should not be so hard on yourself to get something to look as realistic as you think it should look. So all I'm doing here is paint over paint, just to kind of spread it around. And I think I need a little bit more burnt umber. This is also a really good way if you're needing to finish off your paint to go get more paint, because to me, I can't buy paint unless I use paint, because then you just get an abundance of paint and then you don't know what to do with all the paint. So if you need to use a lot of paint, this is a really good way to get a lot of it used, because you can really bulk up on it. Get in there and make it thick. Whenever you are painting thick like, though, you want to make sure you remember the weight of the paint with the canvas and where it's going to be, I guess, hung or positioned in your house, or if it is. But just know that the more paint you use, the heavier the painting's going to be, obviously. And that's definitely something to keep in mind. What do you think, Debbie? You gonna get some palette knives?
Well, yeah, if I ever start painting.
You can do it.
I know, but you're teaching me so much. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you're still enjoying, and I appreciate you coming out and hopping on the calls and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to save everything you're teaching me.
I appreciate the support. Yeah, I'm gonna go in with my funky knife here. I don't ever throw anything away, so if you ever bend one of your palette knives or if it breaks, just know that you're gonna get a different and more interesting shape out of it. And there's
All
gonna
righty. I wondered about that one.
be yeah. I don't throw things away, so we're gonna keep on using them.
I
Okay.
love it. Just keep. Yeah, well, that'll make me feel better. So if I like break one of these or something, I won't feel as bad. I'll just be like, it's just adding character to my palette.
I mean, yeah, like it's only going to make it better. If not, if you don't think it's gonna make it better, just turn it and it's automatically better. Gotta put a positive spin on all of it. I think I'm out of, nope, there it is. I need a little bit more lemon yellow.
I've kind of abandoned my lemon. Because I abandoned my lemon because I mixed all my colors. I don't have space to mix again, and I don't want to get these other colors in my lemon colors.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna have to create a new space for my lemon colors so I can go back and do my lemon.
You do you, boo.
Okay.
There's no constraint on the colors or the subject matter at this point. We're just experimenting with palette knives. And see, this one doesn't scrape evenly because I've bent it out of shape, but it doesn't make it less useful. I guess it's kind of like our bodies. We may be bent out of shape, but doesn't mean we're less useful.
This is a body positive lemon. This is what this is.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. And see, I've laid all this paint and I'm kind of liking the shape of this palette knife better than the others. If you don't want your paint to mix too much, you got to keep wiping your palette knife, by the way. I've not explicitly said to keep a rag. Keep a rag.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I just.
That's okay. I kind of want to do flowers, but I don't trust myself to go in and do flowers and to make it what it needs to be. I even doubt my capabilities to do that, but
I'm just having a blast with these palette knives. Like the mixing them, swirling them around together.
and if you a really fun technique is like hibachi. So like when I mix when I mix, I use 2 palette knives, so it's like hibachi.
What you can hold up, hold on, hold on.
So if I wanted to like take this
Oh,
piece,
you like mix color. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm tracking now. Gotcha.
and if you wanted to do hibachi like on your paper and then or on your palette,
100% yes. I'm gonna hibachi right now.
Take it to your lemon. And then you can double fist it here.
I don't know who I think I am. Like I could hang on. Okay, this is either gonna go well or not well, but we're gonna try it here. Let's see what we can do. I'm gonna try adding some of those grays, like you said.
My lemon looks like it's rotten.
Looks like it's juicy.
Too rotten.
She rotten. I think that's the name of the painting. She rotten. All
Sourpuss.
right. I'm glad that my hibachi skills are going to be recorded for all time now. So let's see how this
I
goes.
mean, makes a fun sound. All right, I'm gonna finish adding all my blues and greens on here just to get them off of my palette paper. Cause want to. And then Jared, I'm gonna do the method that I taught you just a second ago. Go in with the mineral spirit.
All right, I'm gonna do the mineral spirits now.
If you really want to get
I love our
crazy.
announcements. I love our announcements. They're my favorite. Like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing this.
I'm just gonna drip the mineral spirits on my canvas and lay it flat.
Ooh.
And then that way it's gonna loosen the paint for me. And then I'm gonna go in with the palette knife. Just straight and sweet and dab and use all the technique at the same time. And it's pretty much it's a good start, I feel like, into palette knifing. Because it's not, I don't feel like it's too overwhelming. Are you guys overwhelmed?
I'm just over here having fun, but I admittedly have not touched my lemon because I want to like get my technique before I bring the darker colors into it.
Totally.
So, but I can still use the mineral spirits. Like after this dries, I could always bring mineral spirits back to add my colors and stuff in, right?
Right.
She's
Yeah.
juicy.
So, I mean,
So cute. Oh, it's precious. Look at it.
it's so messy. Kind of, I mean, I really do like that the lemon is heavy-handed and then the background isn't. So I think I'm going to continue with that and just keep the mineral spirits along the edge here. And just kind of blend it in.
Just a little blendy blend.
Just a little blendy blend. Happy accidents, you know.
Just a little blendy blend.
And
I'm
for
gonna
my
use the big fat one. Let's see if that works better.
which one, honey?
Oh no, that's not gonna work. I was gonna use the big fat one, but it doesn't have a trowel on it. So
That one.
I feel like I learned what trowel was and then I forgot.
that little bendy bend in the palette knife. Some of them
Oh.
are straight across, and some of them are got
got
the
the
little
bend.
bend. Yeah. But I ultimately am going to buy an actual set of palette knives
All right.
instead of using these ones that came with the little painting kit, because I think metal's going to work better, and I
Yeah.
think having like a wooden handle is going to add some weight to it, because these have like no weight to them at all.
Yeah, the ones for acrylic paint are a little bit more generic, but
Yeah.
they serve the purpose of spreading the paint. The metallic palette knives are, I feel like, probably a better buy just because of how versatile they are with
Right.
almost any medium. And And then if you get the metal ones, I recommend getting one that's obviously a rounded end, one that's kind of like a kite shape or a diamond end.
Mm.
So if you're getting a variety pack, that's kind of what I would look into.
All
Kind
right.
of like what Tiffany has, because she has one that I don't have, which is the more square rounded one, Tiffany,
Yeah.
which was like the second one in your sizes. That's one that I haven't used yet, but it's probably as wide as my biggest palette knife here. And I have really big palette knives because the work that I used with those was much larger. It was like, 6-foot canvas.
Yeah, I want one the size of like this. You could serve cake with it and get it like a really big canvas, and that sounds
Yeah, for sure.
like a lot of paint. That sounds fun. But I mean, I don't know where I'm gonna do that, but maybe when the weather's better, I could take it outside.
Totally. And you can do it, in the garage and get in there with the kids, even lay it flat. Because I mean, you definitely want a well ventilated area, but all right, all I'm doing is going in with mineral spirits right now just to make sure I'm keeping the spots of the canvas that I want to stay white. And then another method I like to use is dipping my rag in the mineral spirits, Jared,
Yes.
and going
Good
in
idea.
and wiping or blotting.
Where do
So
I
for me-
dispose of my mineral spirits?
So what I do is I let it sit until all the sediment gets to the bottom, and I transfer the mineral spirits into another jar. And then I soak up what's on the bottom of the previous jar with a paper towel, and I throw that in the trash.
Ah, because yeah, mine is super muddy.
Yeah. So you can let it sit and let the sediment that's in there get to the bottom of it. And it usually leaves like a film in the bottom, like a layer of film. So you don't want to rinse your brushes after it's sat for a minute. You don't want to stick a brush in there and swirl it around because you're just going to mix it all back up again.
Right.
And so then you can transfer it into another jar like this one. This one has sediment in the bottom of it right now.
Yeah.
And I'm letting it sit until it forms like a layer down there, like when soup has a layer of dried soup on top of it.
Yeah.
And then you can either mix it in or peel it off. That's essentially what you're doing. And you're just pouring out the mineral spirits into another jar until that settles, and then clean up that. So you're just back and forth with it. So you keep using your mineral spirits, but getting the sediment out of it. And you sop the sediment up with a paper towel or an old t-shirt and toss it in the trash.
Perfect.
So yeah. And keeping this light. I mean, I don't hate it. I definitely need to go in with some lighter colors. But as you can see, this gets messy. So
Yeah, I'm a hot. Yeah.
I don't know why I wore this sweater. It has like dangly arms on it. I don't know what's happening. Like I put this apron on, it's like pointless. Like what? I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that I wore a short sleeve shirt today because I'm messy.
yeah, it can get real messy real quick, but having clothes that you consistently paint in is preferred, especially if you start, Tiffany, if you start working bigger and using bigger canvases,
I'm gonna want something.
you're gonna want a jumpsuit. Just go get you an orange jumpsuit.
Oh my gosh, and
I love it. Breaking Bad.
overalls. Oh my gosh, I could buy overalls.
Yep.
Yes.
Get your Carhartt out. It's painting time.
Arterals. Arterals. Okay. I'm just okay. I
What
love
you got?
knives because I mean, for me, cleaning the brushes afterwards, just doesn't. It may not even have. It usually doesn't happen, but So, but this you just wipe it off with a rag.
Yeah.
I mean,
Palette knife painting is an easier cleanup because of that. You're using all your paint To me, you can use all your paint in one sitting. This whole palette is almost gone. This is the only paint I have left. All of this
Yes.
is on the canvas.
Look at this. Okay, hold on. You gotta see this.
So,
All right, hold on. I'm gonna try to back up and show you what I got so far.
all right. Baller.
Nice.
I love the greens in that.
This is where I'm gonna do the darker part of the lumen because that's where my light's coming this way. So I'm gonna, when I do the darker part of the lumen, I'm gonna keep it dark down here.
There you go.
Take it
There
off.
you go, Bob. There you go.
I'll put it on my face. That would be okay. I'm loving that. Like, this is like, I think, like, I honestly would like be happy never touching a paintbrush again and doing just palette knife work with tape. Though I will say one thing I do like, I loved using the tape from the last class that we did and that, so I would like to try to integrate doing some of that tape work with the palette knife work. I think that's, oh my gosh.
So with the palette knifing and blending, and this is kind of what I think Jared was going for, was getting a gradient in there, but mine's a little bit more like choppy. But with the tape and the palette knife, this is sort of an effect that you get, and it looks like it's sitting in the front. So I mean, that tape adds the dimension, the color adds the dimension. It just, palette knife work is really, really fun to work with. And once you start, honestly, I don't know how you can stop, because a lot of my stuff is heavy-handed because of the palette knife work.
Well, and that's what I love about your art. So I was like, how did you do that? And you're like, palette knives. I'm like, that's what I need in my life, and a palette knife.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it is just putting paint on the canvas, going in with palette knife, and then reductively working. But it could go multiple different ways.
Digging it.
And I think what I'm gonna do now towards the end of this is just add more palette knifing with just white, because I'm gonna blend on the canvas. So I'm gonna take the biggest knife I got, very last little bit here that we got time for.
So you just put white paint over one of the colors on your thing, and you're just, okay.
Yeah, so I just put a big glob of white paint on here. So I
Okay.
can come here and add that white paint, because I want it to mix with these colors on the canvas.
Okay.
That's sort of what I'm going for with it. And like I told you with Bob, he likes to go over the surface and leave the paint and let it collect. And that's what he does with his mountains and his oceans and all of his talent.
So with this, these lines, if I'm wanting to kind of like make a whiter,
Wow.
more white, would I just go in and just scrape out then with the
Yeah,
palette knife?
you can definitely work reductively with the palette knife and go in and scrape away what you don't want, wipe it, scrape it.
Ooh,
You
thanks.
can even draw.
Some scraping.
You can even draw and write with the palette knife. You can go in, like if I wanted to put a flower here, I can put the outline of a flower and then go in with the palette knife and then go over that. So yeah, you can definitely work reductively with your palette knife as well. Where's my little one? I'm gonna I want to move some of this white from here to here. Just gonna do that.
Ah,
I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know if you can.
yeah, I gotta get.
Oh, the top of that white is so cool.
Wow. Okay.
And then if you think you've made a mistake, just go over it. It's not a mistake. It's a, what do we call it? A happy accident.
Happy accident.
Thanks for instilling the basics in this, Bob.
Need to get in the habit of wiping the palette knife before every stroke.
Yeah, if you need to, you can. Especially like for me, I'm pulling some of this blue off this yellow. And as you said that, I was needing to wipe my knife. So you definitely called it on me. pull away. And
Now I have to
then,
let it dry. That's the only bad part about this, because I got so much beautiful purple that I made, and I
yeah.
can't use it. So do you have any hints for that? Like if you mix up a bunch of a color and don't want it to go to waste?
Yeah. Saran wrap.
Hmm.
Cover your palette with saran wrap. And with
Oh,
it being oil paint, it's not gonna go dry.
cool.
Yep. That's how I saved a lot of my stuff, was just with saran wrap. So say I mixed up, an entire glass palette full of paint for a painting, and I
Yeah.
spend 4 hours on it, and I still have all this paint on this palette. I'm gonna go back and use that paint, but to do that, you have to keep it covered, because if you don't cover it, then it does dry into a glob, and so you'll have a skin over top of it. So
Ah,
oil paint does take a while to dry, but if it's sitting on your palette and you put saran wrap over it, it's not going to dry, not nearly as quickly, and you can take that plastic off and go back in and use it.
Look,
Um,
this is my palette from the first painting we did together with saran wrap over it, because now if I'm like worried I don't know what the colors look like or how to mix the colors. So thank you
yeah,
for
and
that advice.
when you start mixing colors for specific paintings, and you want to remember how you got to that color, you need to write down the colors that you use. I'm bad for that. So I will take a guess at it, and then I'll end up with like 12 different shades of the color, and I'm like, that's not what I needed, but we'll go with it. So yeah, if you really want to be meticulous about it and utilize like note taking, that's definitely one area I would recommend it. Now, I just let that get saturated. That's okay. So I think I'm gonna go back in with some yellows later. Add more lemony to that. And then I feel like I need to give it a surface to sit on. I got my basic shape, I got my light source, and I've got part of the background in there. So it's really not too bad of work with palette knives right now. And it looks a little messy, but we can always revisit the next class.
Well, it is time to wrap up, and I just want to say, as always, thank you, Tina. These classes are very enjoyable, and they definitely help me leave some anxiety and smile and laugh and bring color into my day. So I really appreciate it.
Oh,
And
good.
Jared and Debbie, as always, thank you for joining, and really appreciate your support. And it's nice to get to see you and laugh with you as well, and enjoy these classes together with you. Um, and so just know that Tina and I are always rooting for you. So thank you for rooting for us, and we're always rooting for you too, you and your artwork.
Yes,
Um,
thank you for the continued support.
yeah, and we'll keep sending out the links. And then next class, continuation of this, Tina, we'll continue palette work on this. Is that what you would like to do?
Yes, we will continue with palette work. If you finish this in the time frame and want to do something else, just let me know and we can. But if not, we can always pick up where we left off. You guys can get more supplies if you need to by then. Different palette knives, Jared, I think you were talking about.
yeah.
And then yeah, we can go in with some more techniques. I only introduced a few techniques at this point because I didn't want to overwhelm you guys, but I wanted you to be able to create something that was a little bit of fun. So we will do probably about 2 or 3 more techniques with palette knives, and we will review what we learned today, which was lines, scraping, dabbing, and sweeping.
Hey,
Very
that's a lot. That's amazing.
Yeah.
good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and I hope that you start your Monday out surrounded by positivity, nothing but good vibes to start your week out, and appreciate you all.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you,
you.
Tina.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye.
Dave.